Hey y'all, I'm Miss Katie and welcome to Heritage Ways. We are a family who has 6 children, 3 adult, 3 littles. We have sold our home in 2018 and now we are living in an RV, traveling around the nation, finding ways to seek and serve and encourage folks, just live in community with folks, as we're also seeking out where the Lord wants us to establish and settle and build a homestead. Well, it's the first day of 2019, and I want to share with you what our family traditions are. I like to say I am bi-regional. And what that means is I was born and bred in the South. I had a Southern mama, and I have a daddy who is from the North, from Ohio. So my heart is both Southern and Northern. I especially love my cultural heritage that has come from my Southern and my Northern sides of my family. And our traditions on New Year's Day really reflect that. Different cultural heritage, different food heritage. This is from my Southern part of my family. This is, I took the ham hock from our Christmas ham that Mr. Patient cooked, and I cooked it in a mixture of pinto, navy beans, and black-eyed peas. Now in the South, people eat black-eyed peas because it's supposed to give good luck. I personally don't believe in luck or coincidence, but I do believe in tradition and heritage and the fun that surrounds that. So we have black-eyed peas. A lot of people will call it Hoppin' John when they mix it with some other ingredients, including rice, but we just have just the black-eyed peas. When my mama married my daddy, and we would spend New Year's Eve and day in Ohio, and I loved that so much as a child. But my grandpa used to laugh and say that my mama brought black-eyed peas to the meal. And so for years in Ohio, they had black-eyed peas with our traditional New Year's Day meal. Well, let me tell you about that New Year's Day meal. It's dear to my heart. Y'all have heard me talk about my Uncle Pete and Aunt Coco. I remember them fondly, as does my family. And I have mentioned them in several of our videos as well. My Aunt Coco wrote this family cookbook, compiled this family cookbook, and she also included memories, her memories of her childhood during the Depression and before and after that, of course, and then her grandparents and her great-grandparents. So I love that I have this book as a heritage item, a history book. She married Pete Rausch, and he was a German. We learned a lot about German cooking and enjoying German food through Uncle Pete. Aunt Coco writes, as part of the New Year's celebration at the Rausch household, a dinner of sauerkraut and roast pork was prepared, with plenty of fluffy mashed potatoes. Most of the year, some parts, if not all, of the family were present to enjoy it with us. And she gives the recipe for roast pork and sauerkraut, which is what I'm about to tell you. So we're going to go through this. She said those of the family reared in the South always included black-eyed peas for New Year's. So we're going to go through this recipe of Aunt Coco's and Uncle Pete's of roast pork and sauerkraut. And of course, make sure you add mounds of fluffy mashed potatoes. Let's get started and I'll tell you what Aunt Coco taught me. For Aunt Coco's roast pork and sauerkraut recipe, we will need a 6-pound boneless pork shoulder. This one is a 4-pound, but typically the recipe calls for a 6. We need 2 apples, garlic cloves, bay leaves, salt, about 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. She says not leaveled, so 3 generous tablespoons. And then she says to get 3 large cans of sauerkraut. Now, Aunt Coco made her own, and I have done the same, and I have friends who do the same, and they share the kraut with me. But when I don't have any, I always buy the refrigerated kraut. I don't buy the canned at all. If that's what you prefer, that's fine. But there's such a difference between the refrigerated and the canned, in my opinion. So I usually buy, for the 6 of us tonight, I bought 2 of these bags. Each bag is 2 pounds apiece. I have this awesome Dutch oven by Crofton, 6 quart. It is cast iron covered with enamel. And I will see if I can put a link in our Amazon influencer page for one of these. It's awesome. So you might check that in the comments section. The oven is on, preheating at 300 degrees, so let's get started. Okay, I'm going to set the kraut aside, and I'm going to work from this angle, giving y'all a great view, I hope. Okay, let's go ahead and open up this roast. I've got my towel to soak up any spills, and then I'm going to try to contain this and put the trash in the trash can right beside me. Now I'm going to take off this string because I don't want that to somehow get confused with kraut. And I don't think we're going to need it. I think we're going to be fine without it. Fat side up when you're cooking any meat so that the fat drips down into the meat, giving it more moisture. There you go. That's what it looks like. I turn it around and I'm going to make some cuts. Just like this. You can do it with a knife. And I'm going to push garlic cloves down in there. And then I'm going to turn it over and do the same. I know I've got blood on my hands, but I'm going to wash them after I get through with all this right here. Okay, I'm just pushing the garlic cloves down in there. I'm going to use this whole head of garlic. Aunt Coco said to use 3 or 4 cloves, but since I've got this head, needs to be used. Plus, I've already touched it all with my bloody hands, so I don't want to cross-contaminate. And this is kind of fun, this part, sticking those things in there. It adds a lot of flavor, and the smell, I tell you what, the smell of this wonderful dish brings Mr. Patient and me to, oh, hello, there you go. Okay, we won't use that one. The smell of this wonderful dish brings Mr. Patient and me to tears, just remembering Uncle Pete and Aunt Coco, remembering that they cooked this for us so many years, over and over. Walking into their house, it just brings back so many memories. Do y'all have a smell, a good smell that brings back so many memories? This does that for us. Okay, I don't think that hole is deep enough, so stick that thing in there. Okay, now I'm going to turn this over. And I've got about 3 or 4 more garlic cloves to add. Another reason why I wanted to share this recipe with y'all on this day is because a year ago, exactly, I was building our website, and the very first blog or article or what have you that I wrote was about this tradition. So you can go on our website, heritageways.com, and you could see what I wrote. I believe it's January. It's dated January 3rd or 4th, 2018. And it talked about what this dish means to us. Okay, there it sits. Let me clean all this up. Wash my hands. Okay, it seems strange to add, it may seem strange to you to add salt when we're already using sauerkraut, but trust me, this is a tried and true recipe. So Aunt Coco says to sprinkle about a teaspoon of salt. That's about a teaspoon right there. Sprinkle about a teaspoon of salt on your meat. Put about 1 cup of water around the edge. Cover it. Put it in a 300-degree oven until it's tender. You might. Now I'm going to work on peeling the potatoes for the mashed potatoes. I'm going to clean up the kitchen. I'm going to come back to you and let you know how long it took in my gas RV oven for the 4-pound roast to become tender. Then we're going to add all the other ingredients and put it in there for another hour. My pork roast has been in the oven for about 3 hours. Now, my RV oven doesn't hold the right temperature, so I'm trying to figure that out. But you guys will just need to figure out for yourselves when the meat, pretty much, it doesn't have to be a certain temperature because you're going to continue to cook it. But when you can separate the meat easily with the forks, because we're going to keep cooking it after we add the kraut. We were supposed to cook it at 300 and my oven temp has gone from 280 to 330. So also the first hour I had it covered, and then the last 2 hours I did not. So you can do whatever. You can leave it uncovered the whole time, but Aunt Coco's recipe says if it's cooking dry you might want to add some water to it. So perhaps leaving it uncovered might work best for you to get a faster cooking time. Oh, it smells great. Like I said, after 3 hours, I mean, it's not completely cooked. We're still going to cook it for another hour. And it's not completely tender either. Now, I have used pork loin. That works well. You can use a bone-in meat. That's fine too. And I'm just going to put this kraut all around it. You see, it did not cook dry. I've still got juices down there. Now, my pan lid did not fit in the oven. So I'm going to have to, I guess I'm going to have to cover this with foil since my pan didn't fit. But I am going to cover it to continue cooking. Sprinkle this with the brown sugar. I'm going to put the 3 bay leaves and the apples on top. She says to cook until the apples are done. I'm definitely going to cook this at least another hour. Isn't that pretty in that red pot with those apples? Okay, going to put it back in. And honestly, I think I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. So between 300 and 350 is really a good temp. I'm going to cover it with foil. Since my lid doesn't fit in the oven. Alright, I'm going to tighten it on there. Alright, for 1 hour minimum. Well, we've learned something, y'all. This was taken way longer than it should have. So Mr. Patient found an oven thermometer, and we have learned that the RV stove, the RV oven is running 60 or more degrees cooler than it's supposed to, than the thermostat. The thermostat's running that much cooler than it indicates. So that's why it took so long today for the meat to cook, but it should not take you as long as it did me. Use your judgment, use your meat thermometer when you can, and a more experienced cook knows when the meat is done just by looking and testing with forks. It'll pull apart easily and it will look done. So we're going to take it out. Like I said, it has taken a long time, 4 or 5 hours, and it does not take that long. Typically it's 2 to 3 maximum to do this recipe. Yeah, it's still running about 50 degrees, 50 or 60 degrees cooler than it's supposed to. Alright, I'm going to bring you in closer and show you what this looks like. It looks like it's done. It'll be served with mashed potatoes for our New Year's Day meal. And I think Uncle Pete and Aunt Coco would approve. It's tender, pulls apart easily. That's how you know it's done. Look at that. That looks great. We just serve it on a platter. You can eat the apples with it. Throw the bay leaves away because those are hazardous if consumed. There's the garlic peeking out. You can even eat the garlic. It's delicious and good for you. Look at that. That's the way it's supposed to be. Let's plate it up and see what Mr. Patient thinks about it. Here we go. Our New Year's Day traditional meal.
Thank you.
What's it look like? What's it smell like?
Uncle Pete and Coco.
I was just telling our friends all about them.
Yep. Special people.
They left us a great food legacy. A culinary heritage.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Yeah, they did.
Well, while you are trying that, I'm going to finish up reading the recipe to our friends. Hey, Coco said if the roast and kraut are done before serving time, don't fret, for it holds well. And that's true. She would make this ahead of time, and then she would bring it to our New Year's Day dinner, wherever it was going to be, at whichever aunt's house or my grandmother's house, or we would eat it at their house. Those, and I've already read to you, those of the family reared in the South always included black-eyed peas for New Year's. So that is our New Year's Day tradition. Our traditions always involve food, don't they? We hope you'll try this recipe of roast pork and sauerkraut. It's not difficult, and it won't take as long as mine did, as long as you understand your oven. And from us here at Heritage Ways, we wish you all a Happy New Year. So from Mr. Patient and Miss Katie, and part of our heritage, we want to wish you all, okay, we'll say it together. We want to wish you all, we want to thank you for walking life with us so far, and we want to wish you all this is where you say Happy New Year.
I know, but you were stalling. I was waiting on you.
I was waiting on you.
I'm waiting on you to start.
When I say you wish you all, I'm not going to start. We're starting it together at the same time. And from us here at Heritage Ways, we wish you all a Happy New Year.
Can I eat?
Yes, eat. Oh my goodness. Is it good? Finally, after we figured the oven out.
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be eating pork and sauerkraut.
That's right, you wouldn't be. If it wasn't for Aunt Coco. Well, I guess because you met me.
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have went up there.
That's true.